meeting, well, we had the Dr. Vargus meeting with Vision Quest, so that's a good one for us to
Why not?
to get on. You want to give us a quick review of what your take on it was?
Well, it was more than nothing, which was more than I could say about our last meeting we had with him the previous June. It was a lot of where we're stuck. Our main goal of the meeting was trying to get him to commit to at least planning the project with us, and in the hopes that he would provide some release time for us to explore the deeper issues of financing the school, the governance, and really fleshing out what is starting to become a fleshed out plan for the school. He really was enthusiastic about the idea. However, he was concerned that we didn't have the idea more fleshed out. Mm-hmm. Which our position was, that's kind of our issue. We can only do so much working as full-time teachers and planning this on top of it. We need a little bit of something from the district, little commitment to saying this is a project that's worthwhile to move forward. And we also wanted to work more and reach it more into the community in terms of planning that stage. It would have to be opened up to more people. So ultimately, what we came away from that meeting with is that we needed more in terms of how is the school going to be financed. We needed more details about that. And what we asked at that meeting, or I asked specifically, can you have an entire department of people whose job it is to source money for schools? There's money going spare in New York State for school transformation. Who can you provide to us as a resource to help us move forward in the process and identify funds that we could access? The best that he said was that yes, we really could do that, but then didn't mention anybody particular, and I think that's going to be something that we're going to have to tackle on our own. Caterina Leone Menino, who is the director of school innovation for the district, was also present at the meeting, and he deferred to her on several different issues in terms of funding for turnaround schools. And we intend to reach out to her to see if somebody in her department, perhaps she's a director, so she's not going to have the time, but somebody in her department or the grant department would be able to help us in developing that process. If not, join the team and just do it themselves. And that's really what we're hoping for, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel if there's somebody whose job it is to literally research this. In terms of governance, that's something we wanted to develop with the neighborhood and community where we are intending or hoping to locate. We are hoping to locate somewhere in the 19th Ward and
19th Ward or Southwest?
Southwest Quadrant specifically, but it's looking more like the 19th Ward might have more locations for us. There's a couple different places we were looking at based on the fact that there's schools potentially in need of a turnaround or of interest in a turnaround, specifically school number 16, which is currently at Freddie Thomas, and school number 29, which John just shared with us, actually had a teacher-led school proposal, and so there is interest there, not necessarily by the building level administrator there right now, but the staff is interested, and that's something we intend to explore. We are also going to be speaking to the 19th Ward, specifically their education committee, in the near future. I want to say it's next week or 2 weeks. I don't know if did we ever settle on a date?
I think the last I heard,
14th?
John had mentioned the 6th. 14th he was going to be in Colorado, and that would have been a normal
So
date.
next Tuesday.
So next Tuesday, yeah.
Okay.
So it's fast approaching.
We're banding around so many different dates.
Yeah.
And at this point, we wanted to ensure the community in the Southwest Quadrant, and specifically the 19th Ward, that it's part of our school design to get community input and to ensure that that is always a place where the community and the parents feel welcome. So we're also going to be soliciting not only their support in engaging the district to locate us in that region, but also in further developing the process in terms of governance. Right now, in our plan, it's similar to what's already in place in the city schools, with a school-based planning team and a building committee, which they do invite community participation. We have an individual on our school-based planning team right now that is helping to direct the vision of our school, but she no longer has a child at the building. She's just a community member. She's just an interested party. And that's part of what we want to do, is really to have community events outside of school hours and things of that nature where the community is welcome. And please, we invite criticism. We invite input. We would be disingenuous to say otherwise. I mean, the schools should be a place where the community feels welcome to come in at any point and tell us how they feel about what we're doing there, because it's their kids, it's their neighborhood. Why shouldn't they have access? And what I said, I didn't think I said at that meeting, if somebody is not allowing you access to the school building in the community, you should be calling downtown, because that already is in place that community members should have access. So, I mean, John, unless you want to add something, because you were at those meetings as well.
The School 29, the principal there was supportive, so she was at one of the meetings we had at Flint Street, and it was mentioned, there were several teachers from there, 2 or 3 teachers from there, as well as the principal, and she confirmed at the meeting, she was, she'd be in favor of it. She's willing to stay around for a year or two during the transition to make sure that whoever they pick for a building administrator, gets up to speed so that they know what they're doing there. And so it would be probably good for, talking about Vision Quest in general, if some summaries of experiences in some of the other communities that have done this. Because I've asked, in fact, I was talking with Mary Adams a couple of days ago and traded notes with her, and there isn't, other than for the Flower City School there, or whatever it was.
That's our school, 54.
54, okay, so that was partly teacher-based for a while, and now it's
a regular school.
It's a regular school. So I haven't heard a good, careful summary. It was obvious, I think Dr. Vargus was aware of it at the meeting there. I remember his making some reference to it, that he wanted to make sure that whatever happens here is not going to have, kind of the peter out effect that happened with that school, that it somehow, the teacher-led component got
it was an administrator issue.
So but having I guess a couple of things that come to mind is I was rereading through that long document that you've got, your draft there, and it wasn't obvious as I'm reading through that there is a commitment to community involvement, parent involvement, and teacher involvement. It wasn't the governance piece wasn't clearly laid out, at least I was rushing through it, and I'm not a fast reader, so maybe I missed it, but that's something that might be good to put a little more meat on the bones there, or at least state that a little more. And the other one is if there are any good resources, either some videos online or something that does some summaries, or some summary of the experiences in X number of teacher-led schools in other parts of the country. What were the experiences? I don't know if you've got a...
Well, there's that one that I provided you, the link to, that was called the Union Schools. The Boston Teachers Association has a successful teacher-led school in Boston. Their website is a great compendium of information on the process there. But that's something I can research if you'd like, and we could put it up on location 19 and give you a couple of resources if that's something that might be of interest.
It's always a battle. The people that you most want to convince on anything are the people who probably may have limited time and limited interest in reviewing something, but so whatever we can find that is concise and easy to for somebody to look through would probably be good.
I do have a PowerPoint. I don't know if I've provided it to you in the past. That's what I was trying to put up at the Dr. Vargus meeting. And it really distills in 25 slides with limited number of bullet points the main high points of the Vision Quest proposal at this time. And that might be something
Is
that would
that
be
the one
worth
that
putting
you
up.
reviewed at the school board meeting there?
The one in the snowstorm. That one. When we went and there was the giant snowstorm with the Excellent Student Achievement Committee. That
Yeah.
and
Okay.
I believe that one detailed the governance a little bit more. Again, we've had a bunch of different authors on the massive document, and it's possible things got lost in the shuffle in terms of translating our notes into that. And it's possible that the governance piece has been not fleshed out as much as it is fleshed out up here.
Yeah. Yeah, I know in some of the discussions we've had, it sounded like that was the direction we're going, but then when I was looking through the draft there, it wasn't, I didn't see something in the index that said go to page 30, and there it is,
Thank you. Well, we'll correct that. Because it's in there. It's actually very similar to what the city schools have in place now with the school-based plan. There would be multiple levels of governance in terms of there would be running a school is a big thing, especially a teacher-led school. So it would be an equitable division of labor. One committee would concern themselves mainly with academic program. One committee would concern themselves mainly with like hiring. One committee would concern themselves mainly with the physical plant issues, behavior, that sort of thing, which is similar to what the city schools have in place now, just they're not necessarily functioning correctly. School-based planning team handles academic vision and mission. Building committee is the union-based committee, and that handles physical building and contractual issues, mostly regarding student behavior, physical needs of the staff, physical needs of the building, things of that nature. And that would be a jumping off point from where we look to be. So.
Okay. Yeah, my take on the meeting was that a lot of the questions that he was asking were, valid questions. I know I came away initially kind of frustrated that I didn't see some jump forwards but then looking back at it, I said, gee, that, all the questions he asked were the right ones, although as usual, a little hard to understand sometimes. But I think that it sounded like he was really interested in seeing it succeed rather than rush into it.
Which is positive. There's a reason 22 years ago was the last teacher-led school. It wasn't successful, and it took 22 years for anybody to bring it up again. They don't want to, for one reason, it didn't go down the way it was supposed to go down, and nobody wanted to bring it up because there is the living proof that they did not work out the first time. And the good thing is that everybody involved at the district level, the school board level, would rather see this be a slow process where everything's done correctly the first time and funded correctly the first time in a sustainable model, rather than rushing into it tomorrow and then having it fail.
Is there still documentation and around, outside of just, walking up to teacher A that happened to have been there at the time, or administrator A that happened to have been there at the time, for like basically an autopsy of 22? What went wrong? Why did it go wrong? Exactly, where did these things go wrong, so that you can use those lessons now? I mean, it's obviously not the same district because enough of the staff and everything is cycled through, but having those lessons so you don't have to make the same mistakes would be, obviously extremely valuable. Is that documentation around for you guys, or no?
There is, and I could actually tell you what the issues were.